Good day, my name is Shannon. I'm a trainer in Parrot Products. Today I'm going to do an introduction to the Teach Infinity 2, and also I'm going to do an introduction to how you set up your interactive IR board. So, as you are going to see on this particular part of the video, we are going to look at Teach Infinity 2, which is your digital whiteboard software. So this digital whiteboard software, you can use it for many different purposes, which include just being able to write and erase, being able to add media for your lessons, being able to use it as a digital flip chart if you are in a corporate environment. So for you to get the installation file for Teach Infinity 2 and also the drivers that you need for the IR board, come to the home page of Parrot Software and scroll down until you see the link for drivers. So when you're on the link for the drivers, let's just click on that. You have drivers for the Parrot Teach Infinity LEDs, and you also have drivers and software for the Parrot Infrared Touch Whiteboard. So you can now be able to install the relevant drivers depending on what product you have, either the LED panel or the Teach Infinity IR board. So here, because we are mainly focusing on the Teach Infinity IR board, I'm going to download the drivers which allow us to be able to calibrate such that your computer and your board, they are accurately synced. So these are the drivers. You can either download the Windows driver, the Mac driver, or the Linux driver. Then after that, you are also going to download the software which allows you to give you a digital whiteboard. So when it comes to the software, you have the Windows software and the Mac software. Included on there, you also have the resources which are subject resources, tools that you can be able to build your lessons with. So you can also be able to download such. When you have downloaded the software, you can now be able to install it on your computer, and after installation, you will get the Teach Infinity 2 software icon, which will be a shortcut icon on your desktop. Now, for you to be able to open the Teach Infinity 2 software on your desktop, you double click such that when you double click, it opens for you the Teach Infinity 2 application. This application is an application that you can be able to use if you're in a classroom. You can be able to use to create lessons or just simply write and erase. If you are in a boardroom and you want a flip chart, you are no longer going to have the flip chart, a physical flip chart, but you can have a digital flip chart where you have your whiteboard and you have your annotation tools that you can use to write, and you also have erasers that you can be able to erase stuff that you have written. So I'm going to go through the icons which are on Teach Infinity and introduce each icon and show the functionalities of those particular icons. Teach Infinity is an application which is on your computer, which you can now be able to save files for later use. So if you come on this particular icon, you have functionalities to manipulate your files. So if we come to File, you can be able to save as, such that you can be able to choose a location where you want your file to be. It might be desktop, it might be a particular document. You can be able to choose the location. You can also create new files, so you can create as many files as you want, and you can open already saved files for when you need to use them. You can also be able to import a PowerPoint presentation into Teach Infinity such that the slides will be added as pages. And the nice thing is, if you created Teach Infinity lesson or a presentation, you can also be able to export it in any different formats, which will be your PowerPoint, your PDF, your DocX, in such a way. So you are no longer restricted to say, if I use Teach Infinity and somebody does not have Teach Infinity on their computer, how am I going to share the presentation? You still have all these options to export your lesson or your presentation to. So let's just quickly save a file together. Click on Applications, File, Save As. We are going to save our file on the desktop, so let's select desktop, And let's give our file a name. So here we are just going to call it testing. Then you will see that your file format for Teachfinity is HHTX, and you click what? Save. The moment that you click save, your file will be titled with the name of the file name that you would have chosen. So from there, you now have that ability to continuously come back and save as you present or as you add information onto your lesson. Now, if you are in a classroom environment, you also, as I've stated, you have subject tools which we have added under resources. So if you come there, you can be able to view the different subject tools. So we have math, physics, and chemistry. If I come on chemistry there, my subject tool icon will change, where I can now be able to select all the chemistry tools, and by clicking on a particular tool, it will be added onto the page of Teachfinity. If you click here, you have more subtopics of your chemistry subject, where you can now be able to see different tools depending on what you want to use for that particular time. Then, if let's say, for example, after doing your presentation or after creating your lesson, you want to quickly send by email to your attendees or your learners, you can now be able to click send, such that you send your file as either an HHT attachment, a PDF attachment, or a PPT PowerPoint attachment. Then, next to that, you'll find that as you are working, you always want to add pages. So for you to be able to add pages on Teachfinity, you can be able to add pages using this particular icon, which is a page and a plus. So you can add as many pages as you want, and you can also be able to customize your page background. So when it comes to customizing your page background, you can be able to change into maybe color, or as you have added your page, you also want your background to be a picture, or you want your background to have lines. So you can be able to add such and manipulate your background. Let's click again and add a page. So on a particular page, the simplest thing that one wants to do is just to be able to write. So for you to be able to write, you have your smooth pen here. So with your smooth pen, when you click on it again, you can be able to change the color, the thickness, the line type. So you have dotted type, and you have the default, which is your straight line, bold line. So let's just put in anything. So this is when you have thickness, which is 7, but again, when you come here and you change your thickness to 1 with a different color, this is going to and when you come there again, and let's say, for example, we choose our highlighter there, and we want it to be a little bit, let's just change the font there, and we change the thickness. This is going to be how our highlighter looks like. So with all your annotation tools, you can be able to change the thickness, you can be able to change the color, and you can also be able to change from one annotation tool or writing tool to another. So you have your smooth pen, you have your highlighter, you have your gradient pen, you have your laser pen, you have your paintbrush, you have your bamboo, and you also have stickers that you can be able to use to reward your learners as they interact with your content. So let's take an example there, a learner has achieved something that you have given them on the board, you can be able to reward them with a trophy. Right. So now, as you have written there, you also want to have the ability to erase. You have different erasing options. When we click on our eraser, the first eraser that you have erases by swiping your finger on the board. The second eraser that you have, it allows you to highlight the area that you want to erase. The third eraser that you have, it erases everything that you have written with a smooth pen. But let's say, for example, you erase by mistake, you still have your undo, like that. Then, the last eraser that we have, it erases everything from anything that you have written with your free hand, or if, let's say, for example, you had created an object. Let's just quickly create an object. It allows you to erase everything by just clicking on the eraser. So those are the erasing options there. Let's just quickly undo so that at least we have our information. Now, when it comes to select, you can be able to select a particular object and move it around. So select allows you to manipulate either in terms of position, in terms of size, and also if you want to adjust in terms of color, in terms of thickness, or if you want to flip your object or mirror it, or if maybe you want to lock it such that it doesn't move around, or maybe you want to add a link. That's where the selecting an object and manipulating it comes into play. Let's have a new page. Right, so now what happens is, yes, we have added information by writing. We have also seen how to erase, but at times you would want to add media. Maybe you want to add pictures, you want to add videos, you want to add animation. How you can be able to add such media onto your lesson is by using insert. So when you click on your insert, insert allows you to insert text, media, tables, and also to use GeoGebra, which is a mathematical application that you can be able to create geometry and shapes. So here, because we want to focus on media, let us click on the second item, which is media. When it comes to media, you can have your pictures, you can have your videos, you can have your animations. So let's just quickly come there. That, click on that, and click open. So when you click open, here we have added our video. You can now be able to play your video quickly. You can also be able to move it around. You can also be able to pause, and when you pause, you can also be able to take pictures of certain positions of your video. So if you look at that, I now have this particular position of my video, and I can now still be able to come back and play back my video and pause and annotate if need be. Just quickly do that, and then we can now come and say this was supposed to be on this particular position in such a manner. Save another page. So now that we have seen that we can be able to add our media, we can also be able to add freehand writing. We also just want to add text. So for you to add text, you have two options. The first option of adding text is by clicking on insert and click the text icon, which creates a text box, and you can now be able to take your keyboard and come and what? And type your text. Right. So this is your first way of adding text. The second way of adding text is by using the handwriting recognition. So with your handwriting recognition, you click on your smooth pen icon and you select the handwriting recognition icon. So this icon allows you to write with your free hand, and as you write with your free hand, it now changes that free hand into text in such a manner. Then, as we have added our text, maybe at a certain point you have created your lesson, but now you want to come and present. You have presentation tools which are in the application bag. So on here, the first tool that you have with regards to presentation is called a spotlight. The spotlight allows you to focus on a particular item on your board and cover everything else. So when you touch this gray area, you can be able to move the spotlight around as it takes the direction of your finger. So for example, there we just want to focus on sun, but I want to make it a little bit smaller so that it just focuses on not only sun but just this particular letter O. You can now be able to define how big or small depending on the presentation that you want to do. So for you to make it big or small, to make the spotlight big or small, you can now be able to touch on the green line and stretch it, expand it, or make it smaller depending on how you want to use it. Embedded in the spotlight application, you have the screen cover application. So this is a curtain which covers your screen, and this curtain can be used for so many reasons. Some people would say we want to be able to just open the questions and cover the answers. That's one option. Or someone will say, as I'm presenting, I first want to see what I'm presenting before I select the page, and then I will say, okay, fine, this one are my questions, but there are my answers, so I just want to present the questions. Let's open. When the answers are there, you can now be able to present them on a later stage. Then another person said the spotlight can be, the curtain can be used to control the pace of what the learners see at a particular time. So if you are doing literature, you can now be able to say, okay guys, let us focus on this word or this sentence or this paragraph, and let's analyze that before we look at all the other things that are at the bottom of your presentation or your page. Closing the spotlight or the screen curtain is easy, because when you come here, you can just click that particular X and you are back to your normal screen. Coming back onto our application bag, you also have different tools. So yes, we have focused on your presentation tool. You also have a magnifying tool. So the magnifying tool, what it does is it allows you to magnify a certain part of your presentation. So for example, there, I can now be able to say, let's just make it a little bit smaller. I want to magnify on this particular position of my board. So if you look at day there, and if you look at it when it's not magnified, you can see the difference. So if your learner has like problems with regards to eyesight, you can be able to include this into your lesson just to magnify on certain positions of your board. Coming back to this bag, you also have mathematical tools. So when it comes to mathematical tools, you have your ruler, you have your right angle triangle, you have your protractor, and you also have your divider. You can be able to use these tools for so many purposes. You can use them to construct, you can also use them to measure. So if you come to this particular divider, it allows you to construct either an arc or a sector. So for you to be able to differentiate, when you click here, as you can see by default it's an arc. When you click, it allows you to select a sector. So if I want to create my sector there, number one, I have to measure to just put my radius of that particular sector, and then by touching this red part, I can now be able to move the divider such that it creates my sector for me. So there is your sector, and for you to remove this particular divider, just close it like that. So what happens is, next to the divider, you have your right angle triangles, and you also have your ruler. So with your ruler, you can be able to move it around in any direction. You can also be able to what? To stretch it such that it becomes bigger. You can also be able to rotate it such that it's diagonal. And if you want to draw your line, when you just come, put your finger there, you can be able to draw your straight line nicely. So let's just move it again, and then Let's just draw another line. For you to close the ruler, you just have to come and click on that particular X. So now, with these lines, you can still be able to customize them, or can I say manipulate them, because when you click on your select and click on that line, you can still be able to move it around, you can be able to readjust the size, and also you can readjust the position where it is on the board. Let's come back again to that application bag. We said you have your protractor. So this is your protractor. You can now be able to use it to measure. You can use it to measure. So let's just quickly do that. Let's just do just like that. Make it a little bit straight. Okay, so you can be able to use it to measure, that's number one. And as you have used it to measure, you can also be able to use it to create. So when it comes to creating, you can create either an arc or you can create angles. So here I've selected an angle there. I'm starting from 0 and I want to make maybe a 140-degree angle. Just stretch that and we move there. And we will be having our 140-degree angle. Because we have finished with our protractor, we can put it aside and we have our angle on the board like that. Let's just close that. So that's how you can be able to use your maths tools either for measuring or for creating. Let's come back to our application box. So we looked at our maths tools, we looked at our presentation tools. If, let's say for example, you have taken that text box and you want a keyboard, you can either use the keyboard which is in the application, or you can use the keyboard that comes with Windows in such a manner. And again, next to your keyboard, you have your calculator. This is a Windows calculator, so what happens is you can be able to view it in standard mode. You can also be able to view it in different modes depending on the subjects that you are teaching. So if one wants a scientific calculator, you have the option to have that, or if you want a programmer calculator, you also have your calculator there. Sorry. Then next we have tools that allow you to capture, either you are capturing a screen capture, which will be in image format, or you are capturing a video format. So when we look at the capturing tools, let's just create a new page. Right. So you can now be able to say, if you go on Google and you want to take a picture of interest that is related to your subject and put it on your lesson, you can be able to quickly do so without saving the picture. So I'm going to go on the browser and we're just going to search on an interesting topic, which is engines. Right, because I want an image. Let's come there. Right, so I have my different type of engines, and as I can see, I would like to have this particular engine in my lesson. So what I'll now do is, I come to Teach Infinity, come to our application bag, and we come and click on screen capture. So the screen capture allows you to capture in 3 different formats. You can capture the whole screen, you can capture just a cropped area but in straight line mode, or you can capture a cropped area but in freehand mode. So let's quickly use all the 3 options. And as you use your 3 options, you have an option of capturing into a current slide, into a new slide, or if you want to save, you can also be able to choose the default area where you want your picture to be. Or if you don't want to choose the location and you select the last option here, it goes and it will be saved onto the desktop. So let's minimize our Teach Infinity and let's come to the engines. So the first one is just clicking on there it automatically saves your picture into Teachinfinity in such a way. Let's just come back. Let's now insert in a new slide. Selecting the second option, it allows you to highlight the area, but it's in straight line mode. So when you have highlighted, you have to acknowledge that I like that picture, and it will be inserted into Teachinfinity. Then the third option, it allows you to capture removing the background that is on your picture. So for example, there I would say I want this particular engine, so I will come and capture in such a way, and all our capturings will be put in Teachinfinity. So this is your freehand and this is your straight line capturing. And the last one that we selected, which is the first one there, is the full capture or the screen capture, which captures every part of your screen. So let's close that. Let's have a new page. Another application that we have that allows you to put or to capture information is your Visualiser. So the Visualiser, it can either use your camera on your laptop, or you can automatically buy a Visualiser or a document camera. So when you click on a Visualiser, it allows you to have live projection of either maybe a practical session, a science practical session, or maybe you want to have a live projection of your classroom. Maybe your learners are doing like a presentation or an act of literature or something. You can be able to project that in your lesson. And this Visualiser allows you to be able to, let's say for example, you want to annotate on it, you can now be able to write on top of the Visualiser. So included onto your Teachinfinity, yes, we have cropped and added pictures. We have also added our live projection using the Visualiser. Another item that you can be able to show your learners is the 3D objects. So when it comes to your 3D objects, if let's say for example there we come and we select a cylinder, you can be able to change your fill. So for example there, I want to change the color of my object, I can be able to do so. And after changing the color, maybe you also want the learners to be able to see the different parts that build up your 3D object. You can be able to view it in front view, in left view, also on top view. Then when it comes to that particular object, if you want to capture it such that it's part of your lesson, all you have to do is you come, you pin the application that you are working on, and then you can now be able to take your screenshot. So let's just quickly take that and let's highlight there and we capture. So when we capture there, it now means this has been added as a picture onto our lesson that we are creating, or our content that we are just building there. Then at times you'll find as you do activities, you want a stopwatch, or you just want to see the time that the learners are taking to finish a particular activity. Under this application bag, you have your clock, and this clock works using the exact time of your computer or your laptop. So for example, there you have your clock. You can also be able to view this in a stopwatch. So maybe you have given your learners activity, you have put them in groups, and you want to give them time to see who is going to solve a problem quickly. You can now be able to come, put on your stopwatch, and then it will be whoever finishes first, you can now be able to stop and present your activity. Again, another tool that you have on the clock or the watch is a countdown. So when it comes to countdown, you can now be able to count down from 60 minutes, such that if maybe they are in an exam, or maybe they are doing an activity, or you just want to check the time of your lesson, you can now be able to count down and see how many minutes you are left with until you go to the next stage. Let's just close that. Okay. In the application bag, you also can be able to create an organogram. So with your organogram, you see here where it's written main topic, you can now be able to come and edit and put whatever information that you want. So from the main topic, you can create as many sub-branches as you want. Right, so now what's happening is after your application bag, you also have like an icon or a tool that allows you to add your resources. At times, as you want to use pictures, you don't want to continuously go to your picture library or to any location on your computer to find pictures that are relevant to your lesson. So how you can be able to add your resources, you come on here, which is written resources, and you can now be able to add your image resources. So when you click plus, it allows you to locate all the resources that you have on your computer. So I'm just going to quickly go on my desktop. Let's just select that. I have a picture here for a volcano. Just select my picture and click open. So when I click open, it now means this particular picture is now part of my resources in such a manner. When I now want to use the picture, when I just click on it, it will be added onto your lesson like that. And again, as a picture, you can now be able to come and manipulate it. You can now say, okay, let's make it a little bit bigger and let's lock it such that it doesn't move around when the learners come and interact with it. So we can now be able to do so. Okay, so the icon that is next to your resources, it allows you to play back what you have done on a particular page. So let's take an example, you're teaching learners letter writing. You can now be able to write the letter and play back until the learners also are able to imitate what you would have done on a particular page. So let us just first of all write a letter. So I'm going to write an A. And then a small letter A. Right. So now, after you have written your letter, you now want the learners, you now want to play back such that the learners can also see how you did this. And as you are playing back, you are also moving around in the class, seeing how the learners are also doing on their books. So let's play back. Yes. Okay. So now you can see it plays back what you would have been writing on the board, and as it's playing back, you can also adjust the speed. So you have ×1, you have up to ×4, such that it's a little bit faster. So it depends on how you want to conduct your lesson. Do you want it to be slow so that the learners can see, or do you want it to be fast such that they just grasp the concept and you move on to the next topic. Okay, so just a recap of what we have done. We have looked at files, we have looked at subjects, we have looked at tools, we have looked at adding resources and playing back what we have been doing on a particular page. We have also come and we have inserted our media, pictures, videos, animations, and we have also added text. So let's just quickly, we have added text and we have added media. We are still going to come and look at adding a table. So how you can be able to add your table there, let's just add a page. Come to insert and you click your table icon. So with your table icon, you can now be able to come and say, okay, I need this number of rows and columns. The moment that you select that, it will give you a table with the number of rows and columns. And with your table, you can now choose your select and you can be able to customize or manipulate it to a different position. And also, you can be able to resize it. When you double click on your table, it selects the table such that you can also be able to manipulate the table. So you can click on that blue item and you can also be able to come and insert columns. So when you have now added your rows and columns depending on what you want, you can now also again double click in a particular cell such that you have the ability to now come and type your information. Double click on a particular cell and you can now be able to come and type your information on that cell. So now the last toolbar that we are going to focus on, it focuses on how you can be able to manipulate your page. So yes, we have created our file, we have created objects in our file, but we have been creating pages in that particular file. So just to recap, or just to look at what we have been doing before, for you to be able to add a page in a file, you come and you click on this particular icon. It gives you a fresh page which you can be able to use for writing, for adding objects and so forth. And then you will see at times maybe you want to change the background such that it's not grayish like what it is by default. You can now come to page settings there. So with your page settings, you can change to color. You can also add an image. So let's just have another new page so that you can see. So on that particular new page, you can now come and say, I want a different picture. So you can be able to add pictures, or you can go onto your computer and select a picture that is already on your computer to make it your background. You can also change your background such that it will be showing lines. So for example, there we can select our lines, and this is how your lines will be on the particular page background. If you feel that these lines should be on all the pages that you have created on your file or your lesson, you can apply to all. Meaning when you apply to all, each page that you have will be having the lines in such a manner. For you to be able to move your pages, you can be able to use these arrows, which is your previous arrow page and your next arrow page. And at times, as you have created a new page, you find that maybe the content that you want to write. So let's just put an equation here: 2x plus 4 is equals to 8. So as you are writing on your page, let's just quickly write that. Right. You see that here, you no longer have space for you to continue solving your equation. So what you can now do is you can use this particular hand, which allows you to move your page upwards, and you have more space to write on your particular page. So now I can quickly come and solve this particular equation. But after solving this particular equation, learners now wants to know what was the question on top, and also view all the steps that I've done to come back to find my answer there. So after you have moved your page, you can use this zoom, which allows you to resize your page so that the learners see the question and they also see the answers, including the steps that you have taken to solve your equation there. So moving your page and resizing such that the learners can be able to see the everything that is on a particular page. So this is your page manipulation. Last but not least, we are going to look at two icons which are on Teach Infinity. The first icon that you are going to look at is your full slide. So your full slide allows you to remove the pages, and it gives you sort of like a slideshow where you can now be able to move your slides in such a manner. And again, if you feel that you don't want this toolbar on the bottom because you want your younger learners to have space to write at the bottom here, what you can now do is you can be able to move the toolbar a little bit upwards, and if you feel that the toolbar is covering some space that you need, you can make it a little bit smaller as well in such a manner. So let's just move it there, and you have all this space to be able to write and present your lesson. But as you now are working on your lesson, and you want to come back and present, you can always just click and move to the next lesson in such a manner, and like that. And if you no longer need to use it, just close it in such a manner. If you want to take back your toolbars to the original position, click on the arrow and it will place back your toolbar on the original position, which is at the bottom, which allows the younger learners to pick up their tools and interact with the content on the board. That is working in Teach Infinity 2. But at times you feel you also want to work with applications that are out of Teach Infinity 2, but using Teach Infinity 2 icons. You can be able to use this particular last icon. Clicking on it, it gives you a floating toolbar that you can use on any application that is on your desktop. So for example, I would say I want to come to the browser and select that particular icon, but as I have selected this volcano type, I want to come and annotate to say, okay, so this is the mouth of the volcano, right? So as I have annotated on there, I have the ability, number one, to just say, okay, what I've annotated here, let's capture it and let's save it onto our Teach Infinity quickly as part of our lesson. And as we have saved, it will be added onto a new slide on Teach Infinity, but I can still be able to come and interact with all the content that is on the desktop using Teach Infinity tools. So, for example, the spotlight, again, you can now be able to come and say, okay, for this particular item, let's look at this volcano that is covered in ice. Or, let us look at this particular range. So Teach Infinity, you can use it as Teach Infinity itself, or you can use it as a combination of Teach Infinity with any application on your desktop. Thank you so much.